Thanks everybody for joining us. Really excited about this panel here. I'm Rachel Holt. I'll be moderating the panel today. I am co-founder and general partner at Construct Capital. We're a seed and Series A focused venture fund, all focused on foundational industries, areas like supply chain, mobility, delivery, production, and manufacturing. And really excited to get a chance for you to hear from our four panelists. So with that, we'll jump right in. And maybe we'll just start, Peter, if you want to start, why don't you start introducing yourself, your role, kind of one sentence or so on what Fox Robotics does in this case, and then really what do customers see as the main value prop that you're offering?
Absolutely. Thank you, Rachel. So I'm Peter Anderson-Sprecher, co-founder, CEO at Fox Robotics. Fox Robotics was founded about 5 years ago with a mission to bring fast, flexible, automated pallet movement to use cases that have not been really served by existing solutions. So our first product is a autonomous counterbalance forklift that unloads trailers, and our customers see value in that because as we all will talk about here, they can't find labor to do the tasks in the warehouse, and we're part of that solution.
Great, I'll go next. I'm Heather Carroll. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer for Covariant AI. Covariant was founded in 2017 from some of the top AI scientists and researchers in the world, and we focus on bringing autonomous robots to the warehouse to do jobs that are often difficult, can't find the labor to perform, and really look to remove some of the risk that the dependence of labor adds into the warehouse. Think of anything that you would do with your hands, that's what we automate. So picking, sortation, induction, goods to person picking, things like that.
Hi everyone, I'm Scott Gravelle. I'm the CEO and founder of Attabotics. We bring the bins of stuff to Carroll. To Heather. So we started Attabotics to create the fulfillment engine for modern commerce. The idea there is we order each items. Those each items need to be close to us. So the value proposition we offer is we're about 12% of the space of a manual fulfillment warehouse, and we're about a third of the labor. And that's using dense 3D storage.
Hi, I'm Debbie. I'm the co-founder and president CEO of ISEE. We are MIT spin-out from 2017. We started to build this autonomous driving solution for yard truck. So the product we developed is basically just use the yard truck, automate the yard truck to drive and park your container trailers at a warehouse yard and manufacturing plant and any kind of like logistic hubs using this yard truck. Yeah, that's meeting you.
Great. Thanks. As you guys can tell, we have quite a technical panel. So as hopefully we won't get too technical. We'll bring it back. But I'm also hoping as people in the audience have questions, feel free to bring those up, and we'll all ask them. But please chime in. So with that, let's dive right in. So the topic obviously that we're talking about, innovation from the yard to the four walls. Why don't we start, and maybe Heather, you can start us off. What do you see as the greatest opportunities for innovation and automation within warehouses in the yard? And what do you see as customers' greatest needs? What are you hearing from customers in particular?
Yeah, so when you think about automating and looking at gaining efficiencies in the warehouse, if you go all the way out from the yard, all the way through the building to the loading dock door, the goal is to, as efficiently as possible, make that entire ecosystem work together and run smoothly so that when it is the cutoff time for that truck, it can go out on time. Where there have previously been challenges, and what I'm excited to see in the industry, is where some of the new advancements in automation can help hit the areas that previously could be bottlenecks in the building. So if you have labor that doesn't show up for the day, you have labor that shows up but they leave mid-shift, and your plan was built all around hitting a certain rate in each area, whether it be out in the yard pulling the trailer to the door, whether it be getting things off the truck from receiving to put away, and then finally picking those orders and then palletizing that to hit the truck and leave. There's a lot of different areas where you lose efficiency, and you really, really need to depend on people hitting rate at a certain way and being able to do that in the right order in order to reduce the risk in your building. So I'm excited to see some of the different technologies like what we're going to talk about today that help really look at that end-to-end solution and reduce as much risk out of the operation as possible.
Scott, I imagine you have some thoughts on this as well?
I have no opinions. The opportunity we have now is the rooms over here in the hallways are full of ideas and technologies. What's missing is the integration. And that's what the interesting thing about this panel is, from the yard to the four walls, is the integration between the movement of goods, whether it be pallets, trucks, bins, each items. That integration piece has been lacking. If we look at the biggest step forwards in supply chain efficiency, they happened when standardization was created for automation. A barcode, a pallet, a shipping container are all great examples of standardized interface for automation. Now in the digital age, we've got to work together to find that so we can get digital transparency and efficiency across all of these different technologies to deliver cost-effective, whether it be labor or real estate or time, automation to supply chain like what was done historically. The time is now for another big leap forward.
No, I love that. I think historically, robotics in particular have been spot solutions, and now you're starting to see the foundational software layers. It's something from an investment perspective we're super focused on, is just what are these foundational software layers that are going to help make spot solutions actually become integrated solutions. So switching gears a tiny bit, and Debbie, I'll have you start this one off. Automation can be very different, particularly, as we think about autonomy, it can be very intimidating to adopt. So talk to me a little bit about how do you think about sort of bite-sized solutions plugging into existing workflows? How do you think about not having someone needing to rip out their entire way of doing things, which can often be so intimidating that something never gets into the warehouse at all?
Yeah, so when we are working on this, we realize some of as a startup, we only have 5 years of history. But many of our customers even have 100 years history. So they have been building their operation, their process for certain reason. They have their business going, and they design their process workflow in a way that really work for their business. So we have to respect that. Right? We need to respect that. We realize that for robots to really work with the customer at any of the site smoothly, the integration is very important piece. And the integration a lot of times is not just only IT integration. Integration is very critical because they already have so many software they are using. So we're telling them, hey, stop using this, using only ours. It doesn't work that way. So we do need to really adapt to finish that kind of integration piece. But also, meantime, the workflow is also very critical. Right now, it's like every warehouse probably has at least 500 people or working at that location. So how to really build this workflow together is also a key. So it's not like say, hey, my truck work this way, just 1, 2, 3, 4, you follow this. Also not you don't do that. So to really make a successful integration, I think that workflow part is very, very critical. So we're very proud that today, we are, from the day that we launch our truck at any of the customer site, it only takes 4 weeks to finish all the, site mapping, launching, truck burn up, and from the 5th week, we can actually start to take the live load. And that is a part we believe it's not something we can do it just by ourselves. It's really collaboration. Yeah, collaborate with our customer, understand how their system work, how their workflow work, how we actually build this playbook together. So I think that's very key. So yeah, integrate with the customer with, serve them with love and care.
Yep. 4 weeks is impressive. Have you ever turned away a customer because it's going to take you long?
100% conversion rate. That is something we're very proud of. Yeah.
Peter, why don't you share your thoughts on this?
Yeah,
as well?
absolutely. So fast and easy integration is very important for us as a company as well. We automate a very particular task right now, trailer unloading. We don't have very many automated units per site. We've made up for that by being effortless to install and thus being able to deploy quickly across a wide, large number of sites. Because of our very local operation, we're able to get our install times down to initial configuration same day, and we're generally out of a site by the end of the first week. And to me, this, everything Debbie said is exactly right about working with a customer, understanding the workflows. We've also really tried to approach this from the technical level. So, I think, as a technologist, I think it's really important to build your product, build your stack from the ground up. To be able to operate in less structured environments, less predictable environments. There have been a lot of advances recently in things like deep learning-driven computer vision that allow these systems to really see the world for what's really there instead of having to program out every single route and map every single little thing in the environment, and leaning on all of that recent stuff coming out of the research community has really been critical for our company to be able to deliver in this space.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I also want to remind folks, I think you enter questions through Slido, is that right? So feel free to ask them as well. Otherwise, I will happily keep asking questions all day. So I think one of the things we've definitely seen is as things are becoming more automated, this concept of how do humans and robotics work together is just becoming increasingly important. And I think when maybe in the past when folks had a vision of what a robotic implementation, they would think about the sci-fi factory of the future with no people in it and the robots doing everything. Frankly, same thing from an autonomy perspective with self-driving. I was at Uber for 9 years before Construct. Level 5 autonomy is no longer what everyone is going after. We're thinking about everyone is thinking about how do humans and technology work together. Talk about that. How do they work together? It's something I know you guys are probably tackling every day.
Well, I designed a system where humans and robots didn't compete to actually have to work together. My background's in manufacturing where robots kill people if you try to work together. So let a robot be really good at what a robot's at, and let a person be really good at what a person's at. And the goal is to create the most human jobs possible. It's not a human job to push a cart down an aisle and look at your dwell time and your velocity. That's a very robotic job. Human beings are pattern matching machines. We create and solve problems. Robots move stuff around really efficiently. So the goal is to let humans be really, really good at what humans are good at and make those jobs be rewarding, non-monotonous, not dangerous, and let machines be really good at what they're good at, which is repetitive, brute force. And by merging the two together in a very safe interface, we can now create efficiencies in both people and machines. And we have to create efficiencies in machines. With people, sorry, because all of us are here because the labor market doesn't exist to keep doing things the way they used to. So we got to take the people we do have and make the jobs better, safer, and more productive. And then we've got to do all the stuff that doesn't allow them to do that.
Peter?
Yeah, so I'm going to drill in on the safety aspect just a little bit here. I think safety in particular, it's a value add for automation that is, I think, underappreciated. You know, in our space in warehousing, and I think there's something like 7,000 you know, serious forklift related injuries in the United States every year. Almost all of those could be prevented if you know, if machines were moving those heavy loads autonomously. And furthermore, like if I look forward to the next 10 years, for, you know, how does automation have to change? Like, what has to happen for the work that we're doing to, you know, really transform the industry instead of just being kind of point deployments here and there? Answering the safety question, you know, figuring out how to do it well, so that, you know, people and robots don't have to work together whenever possible, and when they do have to work together, it's really seamless and efficient. I think that's going to be really critical for, you know, not only improving safety, but also getting the, you know, making the ROIs that our customers see just into a complete no-brainer, because the robots can, you know, when robots know there aren't people around, you know, if we had a magic wand we could wave and just ensure that our forklifts were completely safe, they could be moving pallets twice as fast tomorrow, right? It's really transformative for our customers.
Makes a lot of sense, and I think we can hit more on the labor piece of it, but that's just going to be, I mean, I think a lot of the innovation went from being, and automation went from being a nice to have to a must have, just given, if you look at projected labor gaps going forward are pretty crazy in these spaces. So
I'd jump in there too on that point. I think one of the things that's really helpful for people to think about are looking back on historical trends. You know, we've just come out of a pandemic, and we've had this period of, you know, supply chain disruption. You've got the impact of the pandemic on that, and now we've got these macroeconomic pressures, and everybody's worried about what's going to happen with the economy. And so it's easy for companies to say, we need to pause and kind of hold capital and figure out what's happening before we open up and release capital and spend. I would ask everybody to just look back in history and see how companies that did that fared coming out of an economic recession. Because if you look like at year 2000, 52% of the Fortune 500 companies don't exist anymore. And the ones that do come through it are the ones that innovate and automate. And so that is the answer, and that is the way to get through this. You have to be smart about which partners you pick and which areas you choose to automate first. It's got to be something that really ties into your value proposition. But finding a good partner that can have a platform that can help you look across the different areas of your building, your operations, and really look at what are going to be the biggest ROI components, those are the areas in the next 18 to 24 months people really need to invest in. And labor availability is a huge, huge issue. I heard from a lot of our customers after peak that this year was a little easier to find people, but it was harder to keep them. The retention problem is really, really bad. And so when you look at what that disruption of just labor that you think is going to be there, you've hired them, they show up and they start the shift and then they leave mid-shift, your whole plan's out the window. So looking at ways to reduce the dependence on that labor and to remove some of that risk from your operations, automation's a great way to do that.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that's probably different if you think about, you know, going back 20 years, is the solutions and the automation solutions sort of had to be hardware. I think now there's opportunities, and Debbie, I'll have you maybe chime in here first, but now there's opportunities for really software to be the unsung hero. There may be a hardware component, but software and AI often can be transformative with fairly standard, you know, more or less commoditized off-the-shelf hardware. So I'd love to kind of hear, is that what you're seeing? Is that where things are going? What does that look like? And how does that change the environment?
Yeah, really. I think in the past couple of years, when we developed this technology, we realized that autonomous driving is a social behavior. So the truck or car always need to interact with others, like either over the road truck or other yard truck, or sometimes it can be warehouse workers in the environment. So it's very critical to understand the human intention and to really understand where this overgrown truck try to go. So sometimes can be just trying to figure out where to park this trailer. But yeah, so that kind of things, we leverage a lot of the research from my co-founders. They're all coming from MIT. We leverage a lot of the cognitive science and cognitive AI to actually understand the human intention, so that our truck can drive with coexist with other human driver. And also another thing is game theoretical planner. That is also very critical to enable the yard truck to be able to actually navigate safely, smoothly in the mixed traffic environment. It is just these days, every yard is so busy to make everyone say only work on one place or one zone. It doesn't work that way. That's not something our customer really want. So yeah, that's also very critical. Another thing is we leverage a lot of deep learning, reinforcement learning, that kind of technology to actually really also keep our system evolve improve and evolve with more data and experience. So yeah, we're very proud that today our system can handle mixed traffic environment, and also we can drive and park your 20-footer, 40-footer, 45, 53 drive-in intermodal trailer. So yeah, so various different type of assets, and we believe that is very critical to build AI to be flexible, to be adaptive.
That's great. It's super interesting. If folks, I'll invite people, if they don't want to use the Slido, if you want to use the old-fashioned hand up in the air, feel free to chime in on the conversation. So I'll pause if anyone has a burning question. No, otherwise I'll keep going. So, maybe, and this is a little bit of like the venture capitalist asking the question. So selfishly, I'm trying to get my next set of investments out of you guys. But talk to me a little bit. What are the technology unlocks? What are the commercial unlocks? What are you guys looking for in these spaces to think about what really opens up, even more innovation? Obviously, everyone's talking about AI. Everyone's talking about kind of these buzzwords. But what are the commercial and technical things that you guys are really focused on as just opening up this market in a super productive way?
Ooh, pick me. You mentioned this earlier, Rachel. There's lots of point solutions. Efficiency comes when we can put them all together. Now, I'm not going to build a cloud company. I'm not going to build a 5G or private LTE company. I'm building a bit of a hardware tech AI company. But what we're missing is the platform that puts Debbie's trucks at the gate that Peter unloads, that puts it into the Attabotics solution that Heather's company then picks, packs, and ships for the consumer. That's missing. We've been fortunate enough to work with Accenture and KPMG, the integrators of the future. Warehouse automation or warehouse integration companies aren't looking at the macro effects of network fulfillment. They're not looking at creating efficiencies in a broad, entire supply chain. So we're excited to be partnered with the companies that are looking at it that way, because then all of us can now add value to a bigger problem if we can all work together. But that takes vision and that takes commitment. If we look at the people that built the biggest systems previously that worked, it was Kmart with UPC code, the United States Department of Defense with containerized shipping, which opened up global commerce. They're kind of big organizations. Are we going to wait for organizations to do that, or are we as an industry going to figure out how to work together to create value for the end consumer? Because every single one of my consumers can benefit from everybody on this stage. And then there's the long haul trucks, then there's the ships, then there's manufacturing on the front end of that, and then there's final mile delivery, then there's managing reverse logistics on the backside of that. This is all one big system that needs to talk to each other to create the efficiencies that we need.
Anyone else want to chime in there, Peter?
I mean, my answer is again on the safety side. I think it's both tools to develop safe applications and the technology to implement it that is relatively straightforward to integrate and commoditize. So, we can get technology in places where you don't have to choose between having something that's actually affordable and generates a good ROI and something that's actually safe for our customers. And if that were figured out, that would, I think, really transform many aspects of the industry.
Are there technical unlocks on the horizon, right? If we were to have done this panel 5 or 10 years ago, everyone would talk about 5G or AI or ML, right? But kind of what are the 5 years? Are there things 5 years out? Are there technologies that you feel like are being developed today, which if they were widespread would just make this all work more seamlessly?
I think that from the AI perspective, we're seeing that finally, it's a term that is really in a lot of ways overused. Everybody says it. Everybody's got some form of AI. But we're really starting to see the advantages play out in automation and in the warehouse. And by that, I mean, if you think about automating the hands in the warehouse has been one of the biggest challenges, because in order to do that in an autonomous way, you need to be able to adapt to changing SKU sets, to changing packaging, to all types of things that you have to be flexible to that you sometimes have no control over. And so if you build a system that doesn't have the ability to adapt to those changes in the environment, it's just not going to last you 5 years from now. With AI, that's exactly what it does. It gets better as it sees more different things. And so by having a platform that can be a solution that goes across many different use cases, so whether it's picking out of a goods-to-person station, or it's DPAL, or it's inducting onto a sorter, the more that central brain, as we call it at Covariant, can learn what those things look like and how to pick them up and exactly where the grab points need to be to have a successful task that it's completed, the more it sees, the better it's going to get. So that's the exciting thing, I think, that as we look out 2 years from now, 3 years, and so on, it's just going to advance and get better the more it sees.
And maybe, Debbie, I'll turn it over to you for kind of the last question. What do you see as the biggest hurdles, whether they're technical or operational, to autonomy actually being adopted?
Both. Yeah, I think again, back to the previous question we kind of talked about, I think a workflow design is very critical to work with the customer together to help their workers, their employees to understand how to work together with the robot. So robot is coming to help. That is the key thing, the key message we always try to let our customer to share more with their employees. We also try to build more training materials to help them to just really adopt this technology as easy as like hire another driver. That is our ultimate goal. So that means this driver the driver we build need to be very skillful, very reliable, really provide a consistent kind of performance. That is very important from technical perspective. Build that kind of software to make sure this driving is done well. And then another part is, operationally, really I just work with the customer, really listen to what they need, what they want, how they are working today, and try to adapt to their workflow, but design it together as a key.
Do you want to chime in? You look like you're...
Yeah, will. Will is what's missing. Will, openness, jumping in, to actually creating a system that brings value to the consumer, the retailer, and the environment. Piece solutions aren't the will we need right now. So I'll challenge anybody that's thinking about the future of their business, be a little more brave than you have been. Right now is not a time to be conservative.
Awesome. That's a great.
We got one question.
All right.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I love this. So again, union is also human being. So we work with, I think for our customer, basically right now in the market, just no enough driving force. So that is the thing, that's the key thing. The driver shortage is a core problem for any of this customer we actually work together with. So I believe for the foreseen future, we're only just supplying additional driving force, not replacing jobs. No one talking about replacing jobs. They all have all different type of trucks that need a driver to go help drive around. And for us, we really just provide additional driving capacity to our customer. Yeah. So I don't think that. So basically, this is one thing is additional driving force. That is one key thing. Second thing is it's really help people understand that it's not a really it's really just working together with the technology. Right now, they're not just only just driving sitting in the cab, smelling all the diesel smells, or some of those situations not very pleasant in that kind of driving situation. But now they can actually leverage the technology. So many of the drivers actually can use our technology together in the yard. So it's basically just really give them another set of tools to actually work in the yard. So yeah, I feel like it's really for them. They feel even more pleasant to work together with a robot. This job is so cool. So that's the perspective.
That's a great way.
We've seen the exact same thing. Once people work with robots, they like them. So.
No, I love that. This has been a great panel. Really appreciate all of the contributions. I think the ending particularly, this isn't the robots are coming. This is the robots are coming to help. So I love that. Framing in particular. So thanks everyone for joining us today, and thanks to the panelists for all their contributions.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you.